What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another deck profile, and it is the final update for my Dragonmaids for this format. So I once again took this to our second of our three winner mats. We ended up going X1 again. Due to resistance, I think we ended up placing 6th instead of 3rd. So we ended up having some pretty bad resistance in the end, which was a little bit annoying, but it didn't really matter. We still top 8'd, and we got our got the field center, which I've got here somewhere. Where did I put it? I've got the last one. Oh no, where did I put the other one? Ah, here it is, yeah. So we got the Red Eyes Field Center this time around. But yeah, so I figured we'll take us through a bit of a profile on this one. It has changed pretty drastically since the last event because the new pot spell and stuff has come out, which is definitely in the deck. As well as we made some other changes due to the fact that we can now more freely play through boards. So we decided to ultimately go with that. But before we do get started, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button as always if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people to the channel. And let's get on into the deck profile. Okay, so starting us off, we have, of course, 3 copies of Chamber Dragonmaid. Essentially, my Dragonmaid ratios for the waifu Dragonmaids are still the same. So we have 3 copies of Chamber to get those Searcher for the Spell and Trap cards. 3 copies of Parlor to get you that free dump. 2 copies of Kitchen so you can get that Add Discard, Fuel the Grave. And then we have 1 copy of Nurse. This is still the card that I summon off the Hieratic Seal almost every time. As long as whatever I have engraved to bring back is good, this is my Hieratic Seal target. So, brings this back, get you the Steamroll. I don't think I fully explained that last time, but that's the main reason why I'm still playing the 1 Nurse, is because I use this as my Hieratic Seal target, as opposed to playing something that's more of a Floodgate. Like, is it not the Quirky Mirror? That's some Adamancipator stuff. The other Floodgate, the Dragon one. Yeah, Draco. Okay, but that's it for the normal maids. For our dragons, we have slimmed down a little bit, so we're down to 2 copies of Ernest now. We did need to trim a little bit of space to be able to fit in some of our new choices, so 1 copy of Ernest is what we dropped out. 1 copy of Lawpath still sits in here, though, with the 1 copy of Tinkek. Tinkek? Why have I never decided how to say that? I always say it differently every time. But that's it for our Dragonmaid lineup, so now we do get into our hand traps. The first of which is the first big change. That's 3 copies of Gamma. This gets you so much more value now that you have more power spells. Gamma's just like really, really broken. The fact that you can like resolve the new pot, go and get yourself a Gamma, and then like your opponent is just kind of stuck. They have to like wait for you to start playing before they can start negating things, which is good. But yeah, resolving Gamma is incredibly good, especially in this build. It'll be like an extra choice later as to why it's like gotten even better. But essentially, just Gammering, like a lot of times now against Virtual World, I don't Gamma on their turn. I wait till my turn and then like either get really obvious and go like standby phase and then see if my opponent will just like quickly drop the VFD, or I'll activate a power spell and hope that we see some kind of negation on there. And then yeah, the Gamma comes in huge value. But of course, the 1 driver follows that up. After that, we have still the 3 copies of Droll. It's one of the best hand traps for the format right now, so 3 Droll staying in the main deck. Then we get into our spells, so of course this part hasn't changed. 3 Hospitality gets you that Summon Dump, Fuels the Grave, good resource. 2 copies of Changeover. Crowing has become less predominant at my locals. Like, at this event, I didn't play against any Shadows, and there wasn't a massive like representation of shit all this time around, so I didn't have to worry about the aerial crowing out my grave. At which point I could have considered like siding 1 copy of this out from time to time, but I never did. In retrospect, I probably should have looked at maybe siding out a copy of this to maybe keep in another power card instead. But ultimately, yeah, still the 2 copies of Changeover. 2 copies of Guardian, follow that up with the 1 copy of Reborn. Again, like always, if you are new here, the reason why we're doing this ratio is because this is a hard once per turn. So we're just playing 2 and then 1. This card is still incredibly good to see when you open it, so you can consider playing it at 3. It's not a terrible decision, but keeping this to 40 cards, this is probably the best ratio outside of going like 3-1. That then puts us into the new pot lineup. That is, of course, 3 copies of Prosperity. Gets you the 6 off the top. Have a look at it. You can pick pretty much whatever you want to play through, whatever you want. Surprisingly, this deck plays through a lot of negations, which I honestly never realized until I got this card. Because then it's like, look at everything, look at your hand, how many negations can you play through, go. So it's really, really good. I really enjoy it. Then after that, we've got 1 copy of Extrav. We are still keeping in the 1 copy of Extrav, despite the fact that I side this out almost every single time. It is still good going first, like in the first game. Having the extra here as like an extra card to just kind of let you set up with the 4 ways to draw. It is still good. I have not looked at getting the 3rd copy of the Hieratic Seal, which I could maybe consider playing 2 extra if I put a 3rd one then in. But the extra deck has become pretty tight. Maybe if we might see some Dragon bans, maybe like LP getting banned one day, then I would probably consider going to the 2 extra in the build. But at the moment, this is the correct ratio. This is the best way I've found to play this deck. Then we get into our trap lineup. 3 copies of Tidying, still the best like trap card you can play in the deck outside of... Yeah, this is the best trap card you can play in the deck because it's searchable, it does 2 things, it's great. This card's amazing. Then we have 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. This was the 2nd best trap in Return of the Duelist because this is the best trap in Return of the Duelist. Changed my mind. And then now the last card we've cut for space is the Strike. So we're down to just 2 Strike now. I still felt as though this ratio was perfect. Like at no point did I feel as though I needed the 3rd Strike in the main deck. Okay, next off we have the extra deck and the main card that is in here. 3 copies of Shiu. Card's still very, very broken. Yeah, if you're not playing this at 3, there's a problem. Doesn't really need to be explained. Same with 3 copies of House. We will go through my prosperity targets at the end of this. I'm still unsure whether or not my prosperity targets are correct, but I'll talk you through them all. But yeah, 3 House. After this, 2 copies of Striker Dragon. We still don't play the search target, but this card is still so good. Then we have 2 copies of Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. If you can find room for 3, definitely play 3. This card is incredibly broken in the deck, but at no point have I found, especially now with Extrav not ever really being resolved in this deck anymore, that 3 isn't necessary. 2's correct with Prosperity. Yeah, the card's just broken. Then we have our Guard Dragon package, so 1 copy of LP, 1 copy of Pisty. I should probably switch these around now that it's going to trigger me a little bit that the arrows don't point to each other. But yeah, 1 LP, 1 Pisty gets you through your Boral Sword combo, which is the guy that comes up next. Yeah, these guys get you to your Boral Sword plus a big boy underneath, can just push through colossal damage, which is why that's the best way to go. Then we have 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Card is entirely cuttable. I still never ever use this card. The fact that you have so much set in spell and trap removal in the deck, like with the ability to just bounce it, like a Mystic Mine comes up, you just bounce it. Phoenix, I never ever use. It's just, I find I'm going minus if I use Phoenix. Like, not just the discard, but the fact that you don't get the recursive resources from the bounces. Yeah, just feel Nightmare Phoenix can definitely be cut from this list. But the 15th card is 1 copy of the Chaos Dragon. This is what you're summoning off your Gamma. Gets you Dragonmaids off the top of the deck. Also, because you put your Driver in Grave, this gets you Gammas for later if you feel like your board's maybe going to be cleared. There was an instance where I ended on like this plus another, it was like a Dragonmaid. I didn't have the ability to get to the fusion, and I didn't have, oh no, I did have the trap set, so I had a tidying set. So I just linked these 2 off, made a, or linked the Dragonmaid in this off, made the Hieratic Seal, because I got a Gamma off this, so I didn't mind like clearing my own board to bounce 2 things. And then I just have the Gamma for later anyway. So it was like, this card's really, really good. This card is broken. If you get to resolve it, I don't think I've lost after resolving this card. Like resolving a Gamma into this card on my turn. It's just so broken. But now we'll go through the cards that are my prosperity targets. So I find, tell me if this is incorrect, but I prosperity away 1 Shiu, 1 Striker, 1 Heavenly Spheres, the Phoenix, the Pisty, and then I'll either throw away the Boral Sword or the 1 copy of the Chaos Ruler, depending on what my game state is. If I don't have a Gamma, it will definitely be the Chaos Ruler getting hit away. If I do have the Gamma, it will be the Boral Sword. This did bite me in the ass once, at which I got greedy and kept this, being like, oh, well, maybe later I'll be able to summon this off the Gamma. And then I had to go like an awkward way to present game, whereas like a Boral Sword was just game. So I feel as though probably this is the way to go. These 5 I feel are correct, but I haven't quite decided on the 6th yet as to what I should kind of go with for my prosperity targets. If you do have the recommendations for those though, comment them down below. But that will wrap us up here for the deck profile for this one. So as always, if you do have any recommendations and changes, we're going to be getting close to the new ban list. If that's not already up now, hopefully it didn't hit this at all. And this deck becomes best deck next format if everything else gets hit. So yeah, pick up your Dragonmaids. They're very, very good. Very, very good. Cannot, like, stretch that enough, that this deck is broken. Definitely buy it. Drive up the value of my spares. But, as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.